It's like they're holding me hostage.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
We are ready.
We got it going, right?
Yeah, it's going.
All right.
Let's hit it.
I got the okay from Lon.
Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Midnight Movie Distillery. I'm one of your hosts, Logan Lynch.
I'm another one of your hosts, Warwick Price.
And I'm Lon Black, but we have a fourth person in here.
There's
I
an
don't know
apparition next to me. I don't...
Ghostly?
What's going on?
I don't know why. Nobody normally wants to sit next to Logan, but
I
somebody's
have
sitting
gas.
next
I
to
can't
Logan.
help it.
This is famed horror author John Everson.
That's right, folks.
John, how many novels are you into now? 14.
Famed or infamous?
Ooh.
I just turned in my 15th, actually.
Fifth, so I was right, 14.
Yep.
So 15th, you just turned in. When do we expect to see that one hit the show?
The Bloodstained Doll will be out in October.
Oh, is that another Jalo?
It is.
We got to talk about Jalos. We'll give you a chance. In fact, halfway through, we'll do a break and we'll let you talk about some books because he's got a lot of freaking books out there.
I do.
And if you want to know about any of them, ask me and I'll be able to tell you about them. Tell you which ones are the good ones.
But you got to like, comment, and subscribe first.
Yes,
Absolutely.
there you go.
It's the only way to find out.
Yeah.
All right, so John, because he's a horror author, he also, by the way, I should specify this, he did a lot of reviews. He's done movie reviews professionally for a while.
He's going to show us up, is what you're saying?
He's done them for the paper, you've done them for, yeah. So he's well-versed, not just in horror because he's a horror author, but in horror movies because he was actually a horror movie reviewer.
That's true.
There you go.
In my younger days.
And
Which was like last week, right?
Last week, right.
And I just want to throw this in too. The reason he's also on this podcast is he is also a bourbon aficionado.
Perfect.
That just happens to work out well because I don't know if you knew this, but we like horror and whiskey.
I heard something about
Yeah.
bourbon here, so
Yes,
I was
that's
anxious to,
That's it.
Get
Well,
on the action.
get in.
You're going to find out. We're going to make sure you do some Irish whiskeys tonight. I think that's what.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
He's good.
So, what are we doing today?
So we
what are the movies? What are the bourbons?
In the fourth part of our bracket for
Yep,
the
week
80s
4.
movies.
Yep.
Week 4. So tonight is going to be Poltergeist versus Re-Animator. This is going to be an interesting one. Like so many of the ones we've done before, I think there's going to be definitely pros. I'm not even going to say cons. There's going to be pros.
There is not a bad movie
Well, the
in
con
this
is going to be
matchup.
we have to get rid of one of them.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
That's the sucky
so that's the movies.
Yeah.
What are the bourbons we're doing?
So the bourbons we've got today is a standard. In fact, the most popular bourbon in America.
America.
In America.
America.
Do you know which one that is? Anybody? Anybody?
I don't know.
I think that's
Do tell.
Maker's Mark.
I think John might know.
Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark,
Oh, okay.
which is the most popular, and John just happens to be a, I won't say aficionado of Maker's Mark. Let's just say he's Maker's Mark's bitch.
That's what I drink.
There you go. That's his
There
thing.
you go.
But Maker's
We're
Mark
going to
is...
test that, though, aren't we?
We are. We're going to
probably like the other
test.
thing. Yeah.
It'll be really
Blind
embarrassing
taste
if
test.
he doesn't pick the right.
But I will say this. So it's going up against what I think is going to be easy to tell the difference between the two because he's going up against Beer Barrel Bourbon. Now, we've reviewed Beer Barrel Bourbon.
And we said it like that last
Is there
time.
a Beer Barrel Bourbon bottle and bond?
There is not.
Purely because they can't.
I was going to say,
That's too many
there's too many bees.
But we did review Beer Barrel, and that was one of Logan's favorites. So we've got one of Logan's favorites up against one of John's favorites, and we're pretty much just going to break up the fights.
Absolutely.
Now,
That's why we sat them next to each other.
the reason I think this is going to be easy is because Beer Barrel Bourbon is a bourbon that, so they take, we've probably talked about this ad infinitum, but we're going to explain now in case this is your first episode. Beer
He's going
Barrel
to be bringing
Bourbon.
in so many people that actually will watch.
That's true.
So we've got to be prepared.
Because no offense,
Tell
John,
them
we're not going to
everything.
bring you any fans because there's 6 people watching the show.
You're bringing them to us.
We're getting all your fans to come like us. But Beer Barrel Bourbon was Dragon's Milk Stout,
Right.
which is finished in a bourbon cask. So what they decided to do was after they pulled that out and bottled their stout, they said, hey, what happens if we put bourbon back into it to get a little of that stout flavor in there? So they did. Now, the problem with that is, I shouldn't say problem, but the issue with that in this case is, I think we're going to be able to tell which one has stout in it.
Right.
I think I can smell it.
Exactly. So this will be interesting. But it seems like it could be easy. But John, you still got to tell me which one's your favorite. Which one do you think is Maker's Mark?
And that's the key. The key is because we've done this. We've done this where we've tasted and go, oh yeah, this is my favorite. This is Four Roses.
This is Four Roses.
I totally know this one. And then you pick it up and no, it's
wasn't.
Long Branch.
Yep. Yep.
So yes.
Mad props for Long Branch, man. It made it all the way in the brackets pretty much.
Absolutely.
Just got beat up by Russell's 10-year, which is still confounding to me. But okay, so shall we get to the tasting?
And basically, just for your benefit, if you've only listened to the podcast rather than watching it, it's just down to you to smell,
start where you want,
taste, however you want to determine which one is which.
We do. Now, we're not saying this is a requirement for you, but for us, we found out that you cannot tell a bourbon on your first sip because it's going to be hot. It's going to be different compared to you got to go 3 sips in before you can determine if that's
3 sips to the wind.
Yes.
Oh, we'll be more than that. Logan, you want me to talk while you sniff this time?
Sure, yeah.
So Logan usually is the one who rambles his mouth off while everybody else is silently sipping. But this time it's going to be me.
I know which one it is instantly.
See, you say that, John.
I do.
But then we've been confounded.
Yeah,
but
now when you taste, it's going to
yeah, the taste is going to be the big thing. So everybody's been kind of, ooh, look at their faces. Well, you can't on the radio, but they're not on radio. Does anybody listen to radio anymore?
No,
Okay.
unless
No.
it's like, what is it, the Sirius
Well,
radio?
Stream Cloud.
That's not radio.
Stream Cloud or whatever, SoundCloud, whatever we're on. What are we on? I don't know. So what are you guys thinking so far? Are you pretty certain you know which is which?
Wait,
It's funny because
I thought I was.
I didn't get the distinct smell that I was expecting.
interesting. Okay, yeah. John,
Uh,
your thoughts? Do tell.
Maker's Mark is over here, and it's really good. Bourbon Barrel is heavier, thicker, roastier.
much.
But if you had, I know you probably already made up your mind, but if you had to, you've got to take it as, that third sip's going to be what gets you.
It is.
Look at this.
One is way hotter than the other.
Oh,
get too
this one is
mushy.
way hotter for me.
Yeah.
And it is like not a good hot.
Which is weird because neither one of the... We got to find the ages here.
Yeah, we should probably have some information on these, more than just the names.
Wait, you actually inform people about
Yeah,
which
yeah.
whiskeys you
We
drink?
try.
It's more
Not simply luscious?
we just want an excuse to drink.
No.
So Maker's Mark is between 6 to 7 years. I'm going to bet that Beer Barrel Bourbon is like
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really hot.
It's probably closer to 4, I'm thinking. But, yeah, this is actually tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Well, they say at least over 2.
Oh, okay.
At least.
So this is becoming kind of easy.
Okay.
But so for me, the thing I think is interesting is like you made this kind of big statement about the stout and whatever. I don't taste
the stout as much
stout
as I
at all.
thought I would.
I don't smell it either.
I do smell it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a character about it that's way different.
To me, it's more of a mouthfeel. So to me, when I get that one with the stout, I can feel it thicker more. Because you're talking hops and malt and things that are in there that normally aren't in a bourbon. So
It would probably stick out like a sore thumb, right? I mean, you've had enough of these. That, for me, I'm kind of like, I feel like they're pretty close for me.
So
Which
close
seems
in
weird.
flavor profile?
Yes,
No way.
yes.
They're
like
so
in the sense
off.
that like I actually feel like okay, well, one's got a little bit more of a burn than the other.
see to me,
Which one?
This is the
I won't
Maker's
say that
Mark,
just yet.
and this is the Beer Barrel Bourbon.
Okay.
The Maker's Mark has a little bit more of a fruity
Really? Okay.
kind of smell to it.
I get a
I
lot
think-
more vanilla.
If I can't taste things, it's Lon's Pizza that caused this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blame that.
I get a lot more vanilla with the one that I believe is Maker's Mark. What's Maker's Mark? I get a lot more vanilla on that one. The other one is drastically hotter because when you finish the Maker's, well, the one I believe to be Maker's Mark,
There's no lawyers present. It's fine.
but you get the difference of 2 years to 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, one is
like
almost
that heat.
3 times older than the other one.
This is way too hot for me.
And it's, when we were drinking it before, Beer Barrel Bourbon, It was delightful.
Yeah.
It had a great flavor. It had a great profile.
But we weren't pitting it up against anything.
We weren't pitting it up against anything.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are ready to
John,
make your selections or choices.
You want to
John was ready after the first sip, but that's okay.
I have no more to say. I
Really?
have my choice.
A man of many words, thousands of pages, and you have no
I'm
idea
really
what to
good
say.
at typing.
Okay.
All right, get him a keyboard.
Yeah, I can type. Let me IM you about this across
right.
the
Get him a
table.
Stephen Hawking thing to be like, I really like the left one.
I liked my secretary.
Yeah.
So now it's not just. What the?
Excuse me?
He had an affair with his secretary.
Oh, I missed the whole
How?
reference.
That's why he divorced his
What
wife.
did he do? Did he like roll back and then roll?
This is the whole thing.
Wow.
It's like he divorced his wife and had because he had an affair.
How bad do you have to
with
be
his
to
secretary.
annoy a guy like in a hit? All right. Anyway, this is going to go
That-
a dark
That
place.
went off the rails.
She's like,
So-
uh.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
so glad I
right
avoided
there.
it so that you could go at it headlong. Great job, by the way.
All right. So back on track.
Are we though?
This is-
Are we
All right.
really?
And we're not even drunk. Jeez.
No.
Okay.
Wait,
Give it an
We
hour.
are
Wait till the
really
third episode.
redlining there.
Because we're excited.
Oh shit! We're going to be like pegging it. It's going to be
All right.
distorted.
Who are we
All right.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
let's
just
Pegging it?
Was that what she
pegging
did to him? All right.
Different kind of pegging than you're thinking now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would drop it just a tad.
All right.
So if anybody's read the book Nightwear, you know why John's referencing pegging before anybody else. Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, it's a sex club from hell.
It's it.
That's
And
enough
what's
said
wrong
for
with
me.
that?
Nothing wrong.
That's all you
with
need
that.
to
What's wrong
know.
with that? All right. So you want to start at that end?
Sure. I'm going to pick this guy.
Okay.
I'm going to have to say, just because of the smoothness, that this was actually Maker's Mark.
So you think you're picking Maker's Mark.
I think I'm picking Maker's Mark.
And what is it?
And I have picked, that's an A.
That's an A.
A.
Okay. John,
I am also picking the left side, which I
Okay.
don't know if the numbers are the same.
they are not.
They
Well,
should
we'll
not.
find
They
out.
might be.
However-
They might be. You got a 50-50 chance.
I'm saying this is Maker's Mark. I think it's a smoother drink. I think it has less overt color than the other one, but it's a better drink.
Okay. And you picked.
Let it be B. Laugh.
It is B.
So two people think they're choosing
be
Maker's Mark.
hilarious.
Only one of you is correct.
Oh.
That's disturbing.
That is right. Okay.
That
Okay.
is so much fun.
So I'm picking my left one as well because I think it is smoother.
Hangs a little long. Sorry.
And I don't know about the color because I've drank both of them down. I can't really tell the color. I just think this is smooth. This is definitely hotter than this is for me. And so by that nature and the age that we know that the Beer Barrel Bourbon is, I'm going to say this is Beer Barrel Bourbon, and this is Maker's Mark.
So and you're choosing this one.
And I'm choosing the Maker's Mark.
What's your letter?
My letter is A.
A.
Ooh, this is.
Is it
gonna be-
possible John could be wrong? Everybody's thinking they're picking Maker's Mark here.
Wow.
But two A's and one B.
I would honestly
Okay.
trust his more than mine. But
Well, you're
Okay.
making me nervous.
Dude, plus, this happens all the time.
It's,
John.
it's
I was
four,
gonna say,
four
this is-
seasons one. We were so
Okay.
sure
Yeah.
that Four Roses rather.
okay, he's taking one last. Londa's
So-
taking one last drink.
So the first thing about this, I love the taste.
I like
I
both of them,
love the
yes.
flavor. I love the finish on it. It's a little bit more creamy of a mouthfeel. It's nice, but there's that burn in there that is a little bit off-putting compared to the other one, which this one has a much lighter flavor, much less burn, almost no burn, comparatively. And the finish flavor is a lot lighter than this. I actually do like the finish of this one a little bit better than this one, but this one's smooth going in, smooth going down, and a little
And
bit
smooth coming out.
candy-like.
Let's find out.
I get a little bit of candy on this one.
Really? Okay. And you think that's possible?
So I'm going to choose this one.
Okay.
Smoother drinker, lower on the profile. Now, if this is
This is A.
We got
either John's fucked or we're all fucked.
Because we didn't think about this. Like we've always had three, therefore there's always been a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
That's true.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my God! So if I have a B, then what do we have to do?
We have to make the guess as the
Yeah,
right,
it'll
we'll
be
do
the
that.
deciding
the
factor.
tiebreaker.
A.
An A.
Wow.
Ooh. And the plot thickens.
I don't have two B's, do I?
You might have found
I was just
a new favorite drink.
Ooh, okay. All right. So now, wait. Oh, he's going one last time. Just punching it in there. I guess I'll do the same. I actually almost finished this one. If this is Maker's Mark, I was not really usually a fan of Maker's Mark.
Same here. But compared to the other one, I definitely
Correct.
prefer this
Okay.
one.
This is kind of like our movies that we're going to be getting to. This is not easy.
So just to review, 3 A's.
Yep.
So A wins.
Yep.
1 B. And all 4 of us think we're picking Maker's Mark.
To be or not to be? That is the question. You ready?
Logan?
Big reveal?
Jesus Christ.
Ready?
And-
Wait. Remember what everybody picked?
I had
A.
3
Everybody
A's,
A.
1 B.
John had a B. Ready?
Yep.
Go.
Whoa!
Wow.
Only one correct.
Wow.
John was the only one correct.
Son of a gun.
You guys were making me really, really nervous.
Wow.
I'm confused. I'm confused.
Because this is way hotter than
way
this
hotter
is.
than this. That's what I'm
Interesting.
saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's way hotter, and this is a 7-year-old, and that's a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old.
Wow. I guess that
Dang.
beer does make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
No,
what
this-
was the
The color on the rounder texture. I don't know how you guys really describe it because I don't do
We're not that
bourbon
fancy.
reviews,
So whatever you
you
want.
can
like
work it out.
there's a smooth colored edge to this finish that is never on the Maker's shots that I do every weekend. So
Oh, there we go.
So
because I'm a
if
shot and
you're
a beer
doing-
guy,
if-
like it's one shot of Maker's,
yeah.
an IPA, and
Now you can get both. You've got a beer and a.
yeah, but I still like the Maker's
Yeah,
better.
that's sure.
You did still pick the Makers.
He did.
I mean, you can't cover that up.
That's crazy.
So next
That is
episode will
crazy,
be
though.
John. Will be the only one
But
since he knows what's going on.
but think about that.
No, that's very interesting.
Beer Barrel Bourbon
What?
beat out Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
But okay,
And I
so-
like Maker's Mark.
But here's the thing: when we did our I can't remember what movie we paired it with, but when we did that episode, one of the things I didn't like about it was that it was hot.
But we're talking a 7-year-old versus a 3-year-old.
I don't know.
That shouldn't be that issue in that direction.
No, I'm 100% with you. And to me, there was no heat on this one.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
like a
No,
very
see, I
small
disagree.
hint.
I
Really?
I found the end heat of the bourbon barrel
Oh, okay. Okay.
Wow.
like a bite at the very end. There's like the smooth go down, and then at the end there's the bite that almost reminds me of a little scotch because there's some addition of something
Interesting.
that's not
It's
typically in a
it's
bourbon.
it's so funny. It's like now that you're explaining it the way you're explaining it, I guess there's a little bit at the end, but still not vaguely as much as I felt on this one.
I
But
mean,
see,
it
I
could
think
be-
Maker's is smooth. To me, Maker's is like drink that all
That's
night long.
exactly
And it
why I
is.
chose it because I was like, oh, it's got to be the smoother of the
Because
two.
of the age difference. But clearly because you're putting stout beer in there, that's mellowing that out.
That must be the case. Yeah.
Maybe.
Wow.
Well,
I'm dumbfounded.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
normally
I'm,
you're cool. And
I'm
normally you're just
victorious.
yeah.
Yeah, in a way you are.
I lost, and yet I won.
I was
There
going
you
to
go.
say, victorious in the way that you lost, but yeah, sure.
not. Yes. Okay.
All right, what
well,
are we doing for, go ahead and put
We
your
got- we got
sticker
some-
back
we got
on
some
because we'll
movies,
probably need
right?
that for the next bourbon round. So don't lose your sticker, boys.
boys?
What is our movie choices today?
So we have Poltergeist versus Re-Animator.
Should we move the
yeah.
bourbon?
Let's
Yeah,
do
yeah,
the,
yeah. We
Yeah,
should.
we gotta have our
We got to show our
ceremony.
little bracket.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
There's our bourbon bracket.
So looks to be
Ta-da.
that
Look at that.
Beer Barrel beat Maker's Mark.
No, I protest.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
That
I'm sure you
Wow.
and
You
many
guys are
others.
all wrong.
Wow.
That's all I can say.
I will have to say this, that when we did Beer Barrel at one of our live shows, we had Beer Barrel, and then we had the upscale version of that, which was
46. Or?
no, not that's of this one. Of the
Oh,
other
oh,
one.
the
Oh, that
upscale
was
of
the
that.
actual. That was the dragon.
Dragon,
bottle,
right.
The-
What
Oh,
was
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh, not Omicron, something like that. But
Obadan?
no. Anyway, we had the upscale version of the Beer Barrel Bourbon, which was aged longer, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, we finished that bottle.
We
didn't
did. We finished it.
Oh yeah.
Seriously. Oh,
You should watch the last episodes of that
oh,
series.
any of the live episodes.
Just
I think
skip
we were
right to the
giggling.
end.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. We're all like this, going.
And he was spending his entire time, every time I would talk, he's like, oh my god, he's English. He's like, oh my god, he's got an English accent.
Pip pip cheerio.
All right.
Anyway.
All right.
Okay.
So
So next up, we got some movies.
Yeah.
We changed cameras, right? We're all good.
We're back on
Poltergeist from 1982, directed by...
Do you say?
I always say Tobe.
It's Toby.
Toby.
I like Tobe.
Who was? Oh,
Toby
because
Hooper.
Or do you say to be?
Hooper?
Yeah.
To be
To
Hooper.
be is what you got.
To be Hooper.
I've seen interviews before where he calls himself Toby.
Yeah.
So it's
I went. I said Tobe initially for a long time, and then I think I maybe saw the same interview, and then I'm like, now I feel like an idiot. I'm just going to call him Toby.
Toby Hooper.
Okay, hold on.
And not Steven Spielberg, as was
Well,
always widely...
I've heard.
Well, but he was involved in it.
Oh, yeah,
he was
He
heavily
was the
involved, is what I
writer
heard.
and producer.
And he did direct some scenes. He did.
So,
He was in scenes as well.
Yes, so supposedly, ultimately, the bigwigs didn't like some of the direction that now Toby Hooper was going, and so Spielberg actually did like the last half or the last third of the movie. So
And brought in the Disney music.
probably.
Well, we'll talk about that too. But
But anyway,
Okay.
so the other movie is Re-Animator from 1985. A movie that it is absolutely possible that there are people who may be listening to us or watching us that have never seen Re-Animator.
come on.
Say it so.
I think it is possible. So see,
If you're
Poltergeist.
watching this show, you got to know horror movies.
I agree. I do agree.
People
And
know them, but they might not have always watched them.
but like Poltergeist to me was such in just the everyday zeitgeist of you. If you were alive in the 80s and you were like a teenager in the 80s, you probably saw Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
Like
These kids nowadays have to deal with.
Yeah,
the
it was
new-
on HBO
new
every
piece
hour.
of crap that came out recently.
Like I didn't see Re-Animated till I was like easily in my 20s.
Yep. Yeah.
It was probably sooner than that for me, but it's one of those movies that kind of fuck you up at first because of the amount of gore and the silliness and the over-the-top bullshit that goes on. You're like,
And the nakedness.
what the hell?
They
did
can
I
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what? There's like no censors stopping them from ripping this dude's face off? No. Or holding the severed head to go into the girl with the...
Yes.
Who does that?
Give me a letter opener.
Honestly,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I think the other thing that is just so amazing about Re-Animated is they do really weave that perfect line of great comedy
Yeah.
with
gruesome
real horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I just
And
think
practical effects, which of course back then that was pretty much
Yeah.
it. But good practical effects.
No, they're convincing.
Very convincing.
yeah, it's really well done. I mean, I think it's like you could argue. Well, you could definitely argue with this podcast as well. Like the storyline is
So we're here for it, man.
is
Here to help you out.
is a little bit like kind of all over there. Let's throw a line of Poltergeist in, just for the fact it's like so he leaves the doctor in Germany, wherever it was, like he's literally over the dead body of the doctor.
Yeah.
And nobody says anything.
And no one says anything, and apparently he's still able to come back to America and join some somewhat prestigious...
The Germans are like, get out
Well,
of here. Just
they
take-
do look like they're about to arrest him. Like they're coming
Well,
at
and that's
him.
what I mean, but so how the
yeah.
hell did he...
Because
how
the
did he get
doctor
out?
wasn't dead when he was over his body. Because remember, the doctor got
Yeah,
up
then
and
he
killed
gets
himself.
up and-
So they clearly the doctor just smashed his own head
Yeah,
in.
he wanted to.
So
himself.
obviously this guy didn't do it because I just saw this. Little did they know the doctor was already dead.
Yes.
But that's how they did it because he didn't kill him. He was standing over here going like this when the guy smashed his own head in.
But for me, I mean, this really is a difficult one because
It is.
It's Poltergeist is just so good on so many levels. I mean, it really kind of was a stepping stone for a lot of kids because of the PG nature of the movie.
Correct.
It's the reason for PG-13.
Right.
Not wrong.
That was a lot of people's entry into horror.
But that doesn't make it the better movie.
No.
Agreed. So tell me something.
Do tell.
So, having watched
thoughts.
both of them in the last couple of weeks,
Yep.
like Re-Animator makes me happy and fun, and I get into it. Poltergeist, I was falling asleep. I mean,
No kidding.
and part of it's the soundtrack. I started mentioning that before. The soundtrack is god awful for a horror movie. It's
Because it's Disney.
rising strings, and it sounds like a Disney movie. And then when the first ghost comes out with the little spiral, it's like, oh, there's like a Sleeping Beauty Disney character
very-
like coming to life.
Like Indiana Jones.
I like the story.
Remind
Like
all
the story is
Star Wars
amazing.
stuff in one of in Robbie's room and everything, but
Yeah, they did.
technically it wasn't Disney back then, right? Star Wars wasn't, but no, I I feel like the Re-Animator movie is fun. That's the nice thing about this is they're two different movies, right? You've got the fun.
What makes this hard?
I thought it was the same movie.
The exact same. No, but if you want, you could say they're the same in the sense that there's dead things coming to life in a sense, right? Like you've got poltergeists that are touching
horror.
things in the living, but anyway, no, I think the both of the movies are. This is a good competition between these two. I'm not sure which way you guys are leaning. I think I know which way John's leaning, but
a little to the left.
Yeah. Yes. It hangs lower. Anyway,
Right.
The movie Poltergeist to me was something that when I saw it, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that clown to this day has made me hate clowns. I'm not deathly afraid of them like some people that I know, but it's one of those things where, first off, why would you even have that freaking thing? That is the most creepiest thing on the planet. I wish they would have said like, hey, he had a birthday party and that's why he got this thing from, from an aunt that hates him or something. Then it would be like, okay, it makes sense. But
it did seem like he didn't want it in his room ever.
And
so
it's like,
why was it there?
Yeah.
Was it Carol Ann's?
That's the only thing that
Maybe.
makes sense, I guess,
Okay.
right? But
Yeah,
for me, Re-Animator's fun and it's gory. For me, it's got to be a mood thing. So if I'm just kind of in the mood to, I don't hate the soundtrack like some people, but
For Poltergeist, you're talking.
for Poltergeist. But it's one of those things where what is the soundtrack for Re-Animator?
Re-Animator soundtrack is awesome.
It's got a great soundtrack to
it's-
it.
Because it's very comedic.
It's I keep
Yeah.
thinking like the witch riding
Yeah.
her bike out in the snowstorm.
If somebody AI out there could probably do it. Maybe we should have AI
Well,
put a.
But I'd also question how much of the movie's love for you is based on your original when you saw it, right? You saw it as a kid, it scared the hell out of you.
Yeah.
I probably saw it as a kid. I don't remember it. So like when I revisited it last night, this was the first, for me it was a fresh movie. Like
Okay.
I didn't remember anything about
Sure.
it other than that there's a girl staring at a TV. That's literally the only thing I remembered. And
No
so
kidding.
I didn't love it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was not going into it that way. I had no preconception really.
It was almost like watching it for the first time. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know how much that plays into it. I mean, it's the nice thing is I'm not liking the movie just because I was told to like it. Right? It's more I like it because it's something for me that it does bring back some memories, but it's not to that point where I'm still scared and afraid of it.
Let's
but-
face it. This is a Spielberg, Tobe Hooper movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So it had a pretty
They're
big
juggernauts of movies.
Sure.
They're like mainstream, top-notch juggernauts. This is not. Every scene was thoughtfully constructed, and the soundtrack. Although I'm kind of with John on that about it being too playful, but it was constructed exactly the way it was supposed to be, right? So that movie is what you saw is what the directors wanted you to see, right?
Do you know what's the budget on both of these? I know there's probably a huge
10.7 for Poltergeist, gross 77.1.
Jesus.
Budget for Re-Animator 900,000,
Safe.
and it grossed 2 million. That's just cinematic, obviously.
Sure,
it
sure,
grossed
sure.
way more than that. Through
Because
video.
right,
Yeah.
as soon as
No,
it
it's
went to
a
video
little
release.
movie that has amazing effects for being a little movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And-
but like, sorry, to one of the things you guys were all saying, I think the other thing, and we touched on it a little bit before, the other thing that is important here for Poltergeist is they went out to create a PG-rated horror movie. Like, in other words, it's like that was their goal. Their goal
Could've been
wasn't
the gateway drug.
The goal, their goal wasn't necessarily to create a horror movie that was like full of like scares and all this kind of stuff. It was supposed to be a PG-rated horror movie. In reality, they still weren't able to get PG, and hence PG-13, as you said, got created because of it. But interesting little fact: no one dies in the movie.
That's true.
There's one death. Tweety the bird.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And technically,
no
he dies
human
before
dies.
the ghosts.
Correctly.
So,
But
They should have had the bird come back and save her or something.
oh, that would have been great. But as a giant deformed monster.
Yeah,
bird.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what that was. That was scaring the mom
he got
at the door,
reanimated.
right?
Because he got.
Well, and there's the big moment of sadness when they're unearthing for the swimming pool and the poor little
Yeah.
cigar box comes rolling out.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. So the
like
Tweety did come back.
Heart wrench.
Yeah, yeah.
Nope, I just
Because you're a
parted
bird
my
guy.
mouth.
That's why.
But even that, it's like I really like Poltergeist. Like I think it is I've rewatched it many times. I watched it again the other day for the first time, probably in a few years. But I still watched it and like thoroughly enjoyed it at this point because I know basically some of the scenes that are going to come at certain points. But the swim pool scene is an interesting one, just logistically, of the fact that it's like when you look at the number of skeletons that suddenly come out of the water. It's like there's no way when they were digging that.
They were double stacking them.
Well, and also there was no way when they were digging the swimming pool that they wouldn't have come across the skeletons.
Well, technically, they only went 7.5
beneath the surface.
Right, just 7.5
6
feet.
inches away.
Right, loosen up and bring them up.
Because they did come up after a while. So, you know.
Yes.
They needed some oxygen.
But yeah.
I thought Poltergeist had an incredibly great ghost story. It had some moments that are quintessential horror movie moments. Mm-hmm. The clown, the whole, talking in the TV, Carol Ann, that kind of stuff.
And the classic, like looking in the mirror and you see one and the one thing,
pulling the face
and then
off,
the kind of like the double take, and now all of a sudden
that was good.
That was really good, very well done.
That was
scary.
Spielberg's
That was
hands,
terrifying.
Ripping the face.
I mean, to me, that movie, because it was made by the masters, it became a masterful movie. It was what you do when you're supposed to do things the right way.
But now,
however,
I was gonna say, but now is that going to play into you? Do you become kind of like how some people are with bands, where it's like, I like this band because nobody else likes it. Then when everybody else starts to like it, you're like, well, I don't like that band anymore. It's popular.
No. So
he's a Re-Animator guy, I'm sure.
The thing is about Re-Animator is, you all know, and I'm hoping all of you 6 viewers of ours also know that
28 more.
I love them over the top, ridiculous, gory, silly. There better be boobs, blood, and
more
blood.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to go more boobs.
Or more boobs.
I was going to say booze.
Yeah.
Boots?
Ooh, booze. Yeah, there you go.
Boobs, blood, and booze.
See, so to me, those are the kind of things. But when you're watching Poltergeist, and you see those scary scenes, you're like, oh, that was scary, and the music, and you're like, oh, it swelled me up, and now I'm like, oh, okay, a little, and you're like, you go on the roller coaster, you're like, wow, that was a really good movie. But watching, when you see the severed head, the guy takes the severed head and puts it in, it won't stand up, gets a little paper spike, puts it on the paper spike. I'm like, okay, this is my movie. This is my movie.
But also, like, the other thing I love about Re-Animator is the ridiculousness of the fact that it's like, okay, so even if you make a belief that there could be a serum that when you inject it into the brainstem,
it'll bring you back to life.
It'll bring you back to life. At the point that you sever the head,
right?
I can dispel belief a little bit to say that there's enough of that juice going through the brain that the head may stay alive.
Sure.
But the fact that the head somehow is able to control the body.
They're getting into paranormal on that one.
Absolutely. And he was able to, just by lobotomizing some other corpses, he was able to control those corpses too.
Yeah, I mean, he takes over.
That's very true. That is very
He's
true.
the man.
That's right.
He's got it all covered.
That is very true.
I think those kind of over-the-top things, I am completely willing to buy into 100%.
And I am too. I mean, and again, kind of like to the point you were saying before, just it's the, like, what I love about Re-Animator is it has everything that a horror movie should have.
Absolutely.
It really does. And my problem, again, Poltergeist is still a great movie. The things I love about the Poltergeist is actually one of my favorite kind of like overall kind of arcs in the story is they go to the paranormal investigators, and the paranormal investigators come out and they're talking about like, oh yes, we use our things, and we saw like a swish and an increase in the EMG or whatever.
3 degrees. It was crazy.
Oh my god! It's just like so amazing.
There was a car that traversed the floor
Took
in 7 hours.
Right.
And so, like, just the fact that it's like, they think that means that yes, there are real ghosts, and then all of a sudden they come along, and even they are just like,
well, that's when he goes. That's when he opens the door. He's like, because he's listening to him going, oh yeah, that sounds great. Opens the door to the kids' room, and things are flying around, and you're like,
Yes.
That was a great
That
scene.
scene, that door open into chaos is amazing.
That was
That's
a
one of the
great
things
scene.
I did like about Poltergeist was they took the paranormal portion seriously.
Absolutely.
Right? Like they could have made that comedic and look at how stupid these guys
But they
are.
did. They did make it comedic.
Comedic,
in a
but
certain,
it was a good
in the way that
comedic thing.
Spielberg does.
Like they were. They didn't have the knowledge that the family did, right? Like the family probably lived more than those people did for however long they'd been studying, right? I mean, that's what I did, and it made it look like a serious thing. Paranormal looked serious, even though most people probably still didn't believe it. But that's what kind of drew me into it, and probably what drew me into paranormal stuff to begin with was the fact that seemed like a serious thing.
But to me, I agree with that, and that's kind of what I said. But like the thing I think is then funny is that they bring like the midget in. I can't remember what her character name is. Zelda, thank you.
little person.
The little person. But like, because to me somehow that character suddenly goes back to like pass silver over my hand, it suddenly becomes
Goes
like
back to the silly.
just really stupidness of people believing in fortune telling and stuff like that. Because I just think as much as she's become a classic character and has some like great one-liners and things like that, it's like she's probably my least favorite character.
Really? Okay.
In the whole episode.
I know a lot of people that would beg to differ on that.
Yeah, my least favorite would be the mother.
Really?
I have absolutely no connection to her at all. She looks listless
but she
at
is
points.
pretty hot in this movie.
But
She's pretty good looking.
Looks can only carry you so far.
Yeah.
She's JoBeth Williams.
Yeah.
for Christ's sake.
I mean, as far as favorite character goes, to me, I mean,
Heather O'Rourke.
no. No. I don't know if I have a favorite character so much as I think it was sort of like an ensemble kind of cast. There was nobody that was really stand out, and I think that was on purpose. So you could feel everybody's emotions or whatever, identify with everybody. But that also kind of made it a little more homogenized for me.
Yeah. See, I think Craig T. Nelson was the best character in that.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I felt like he just took everything. Everything he did seemed real, like what a father would do, fighting with the neighbor,
Over the
with
remote
clicker,
control, that was
things like that,
hilarious.
watching the game and getting into
Total 80s thing.
Yeah, I
by
mean
the way.
that to me seemed legit, and I grew up watching Craig T. Nelson on Coach and stuff like that. So I mean, that to me he was the best character out of it. The Carol Ann didn't have many lines, so great. She played the role fairly well, but you can kind of tell she's acting, which she's young and you can't do much better than that. But Robbie, for whatever reason, his teeth I catch myself staring.
well,
at
especially
it.
when they do the silhouette look. There's
Yeah, when
there's
his
one
teeth are-
shot.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just like
Yes.
I will say that one character did annoy the piss out of me, and that was
here
the
we go.
older sister.
Yes,
Dana.
she wasn't in it much, but
No,
she was.
but even when she came back, they got dropped off by her friends right when the house is imploding. And she's like, what's happening? What's
Yeah.
happening?
It's like, get in the car,
Where
she's
have
like,
you been, bitch?
Yes.
Just
Shut
shut
the
up.
damn car. You
Well,
just showed up. Yeah.
But that's the thing. To me, the kids were just like little pawns in the background.
They
The-
were.
The,
They
the story
totally
is
were.
about the parents, and
Yeah.
so both
Right,
of the
and how they
parents
handle
needed
how
to
they
be
handle it. Right?
really charismatic to draw you in. I think Craig T. Nelson is
Yeah.
great. She seemed there.
Speaking of, if you notice, there's a scene where Craig T. Nelson's explaining to the paranormal person how old his wife is. His wife's 32.
And Dana is 16.
Dana's 16.
Dana's from a previous marriage.
Thank you. In the novelization, they actually mentioned that he had but they don't mention it in the movie. But in the novelization of the film, they actually mention it. So
I would not have known that.
Yeah, it caught my attention watching it because I'm like, wait, he said his
Yeah, I
wife's
didn't pick up
32,
on that.
and then he says, oh, and then my daughter Dana is 16. I'm like, hold on here.
But I do still think that's a little bit weird. It's like, I'm sorry, if I had a 16-year-old daughter, I would not let them out with a boyfriend.
Oh,
For
and
the
did you
night or a
notice-
couple nights?
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit of trivia. Did you notice what was on Dana's neck when she got back?
A hickey?
She had a hickey on her neck.
Yes.
It's
Really?
yeah, you got to look for it, but it's there.
No, I was annoyed by her when she was on the screen. I didn't pay attention.
I wonder if she was screaming at the guy. What's going on here? Anyway.
What do you mean when she
Wow.
died? When she died? Yes.
Well, maybe if she had a severed head that was pleasuring her, maybe she would have changed it.
So
Yes.
while we're on the subject of favorite
But-
characters,
but
what's your
so-
guys' favorite character from Re-Animator then?
Oh,
Everybody.
Herbert West. I mean,
Herbert
like
West is awesome.
Jeffrey Combs is just he's so good in that role, and I was like he just so embodies that character, even to the point where it's like I've seen him in other movies, And
he's a
You're still
psychotic,
picturing-
weird
and
motherfucker.
that's
He's a
what I
weird
hear.
No, he's great. Although it's really hard to discount the head on a stick.
Yes,
True.
I mean, he has some great lines.
That's true.
Yeah, great one line.
Be famous.
Yes.
I love that line. I don't know why. It's the way he says it, but
And of course Barbara Crampton's like.
I wonder
Well,
is that
well,
where the
goes without
phrase
saying.
giving head came from? I don't know.
oh boy.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Dad
But
jokes.
that was it. I mean, it was still. In fact, I may have said this already, so I'm probably repeating myself, so I won't say it too long. But the silliness, campiness, over the top, and the gore factor, and the ludicrous storyline, is what made that an actual horror movie. The other one's a ghost story.
So you're more when you watch a film. Is that one of the key elements for you? Is
Have we
how
not-
happy and how. I mean, because it might not have a happy ending. I mean, it kind of has a happy ending with Re-Animator, but you also lose the main character.
It
so to
absolutely
speak, but-
does not have a happy ending with Re-Animator.
Well, but in the sense that he thinks. Well,
She's
I guess
dead
I'm ruining it, but
and he gets to go in, and all of a sudden you hear her
now he gets
scream.
now he gets to keep a zombie chick.
Yeah, but how do you know that? She's probably going to tear his throat out and rip off his.
Or he
It's
ties
not
her
bad.
up.
Well,
and,
then you go on and watch the next movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how
there you go. That's true
See.
too.
So I mean, but that's what I mean. Like, so you do have the happy ending at the end of Poltergeist, which does that kind of turn you off of it because you're demented and like the bad side of things.
We've talked about my affinity with J horror, haven't we?
yeah, I mean, and also
Have you seen some of the J horror that I watch?
Yes,
I think the other thing
you
that's
forced me to.
I think the other
There
thing
you
that's
go.
important, and we've talked about it in other brackets. Other brackets we've had films that are technically better shot, better story, bigger budget,
Sure.
that haven't beat out the movie that we enjoyed the most.
Okay.
And I think that's the, I'm going to say, great thing about like these kind of brackets. And again, going back to what we've said at the very, very beginning, why we didn't try and purposely pair movies together. We just did a random
Right. Yep.
list. And sometimes that's been annoying because we've paired together two movies that we both really, really, really like. But it is what it is. And I think this is
It's bound to happen sooner.
I think this is a situation where, for me, I think Poltergeist is the better filmed
Made.
movie.
Okay.
What's the more? It's got more money in it.
Right.
Clearly, you got
But-
bigger
but-
names in it.
I don't think it's a better film movie in some ways because I think the ghost apparition stuff looks cheesy to me. I think the first 20 minutes are like boring, mundane chatter. The two parents, like I would have cut 10 minutes out of the first 20. It just
They
it
try to show
meanders.
slice of life, American
They
life.
do, but I
it's
didn't
also-
care about
everything's
them.
supposed to be perfect.
Partly
Right.
maybe because I didn't buy the mother as much. Like she
yeah.
didn't draw me in, so I was like, could you quit talking and get to the ghost?
So I do think the other thing that we have an issue with in general is, if we could go back in time and record this episode in like 1992, I think we would look at that statement would be a little bit different because certainly in terms of like the ghost apparition and things like that, that was cutting edge.
Sure.
At the
It just
time.
it makes
That's
me
true.
wor- it
Back
make-
then, maybe some of
Sure.
it didn't hold up, but back then it was pretty stellar.
Right.
See, stuff like that makes me wonder. Then I get that mindset of what would have been like if Re-Animator had that $10 million budget. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Would it have been so? It would have probably been more serious. I feel like there would have been more influence from higher ups and things like that. Would it be a completely different movie?
I
I think it would have been ruined.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I do.
Totally agree.
I think, and we've seen this in many, many other movies, and there's a movie that we're going to be talking about at some point in the future, The Thing. The Thing is another kind of classic movie.
Lots of money in that one.
Lots of money, but not. It was at the time the most money that John Carpenter had ever had for a movie, but still, I'm not going to say by today's standard, but like in terms of it wasn't a truly big budget movie, and I still think like John Carpenter had the wherewithal and he knew what he was used to making, which was cheap, low budget
Sure.
movies, and I think he used the budget well.
Yeah, you get the most out of every shot.
Right.
And I think that's what happened, obviously, with Re-Animator, because they were able to get it done, and they were able to, there's scenes, obviously, when he's squeezing the head at the end, you can still see the guy's shoulders when he's squeezing, and things like that. But that's one of those things where if it's a good enough movie, you look past that stuff.
Absolutely, you do.
Right? So I think we should probably
Let's vote.
pick.
Let's
our
vote.
votes. Okay.
You want to start, Logan?
No, let's start on your guys' end. Ha ha ha.
All right. Again, we've already kind of mentioned this before. Poltergeist, to me, is a better made movie because it had the budget.
Yep.
It had bigger name actors. It had that Spielberg touch to everything. It had Tobe Hooper, which, he knows what he's doing for a reason. But god damn, Re-Animator's a great movie.
Okay.
And it's what made me love horror.
Okay.
So 100% Re-Animator.
I literally could just record what he just said and said again. I 100% agree. It's again, everything about Poltergeist, get up against many other movies, Poltergeist probably would be my pick.
Okay.
I love it. I don't mind the soundtrack. I know exactly what you mean, but I don't mind the soundtrack. Because
Poltergeist.
Of Poltergeist.
You like Gone with the Wind, though.
That's true. Who
that's
doesn't
true.
Who doesn't like?
See, there you go.
Who doesn't like?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
But also I love that kind of orchestral.
Sure.
Kind of
Maneuvers in the dark.
I love that stuff. Yes. Anyway, but with all that said, I think Re-Animator, at the end of the day, is I can rewatch Re-Animator again and again and again and again. I have. Absolutely. It has everything that a good horror movie should have in it. It has a little bit of comedy. It has lots of gore. It has some nudity in it.
That's what it was. That's what.
And
Well, let's face it. That was some good nudity.
Yeah, I mean,
There was also some bad nudity in it, by the way.
And it was like still at a fairly pivotal time in my life when the first time
That's
I saw
why.
it.
So basically, Re-Animator gave him a boner, and that's why he's choosing it. I get it. All right.
Pivotal time.
So it's and Re-Animator does. I have the soundtrack. Re-Animator has a great soundtrack.
Do you have it on vinyl?
I do.
He has most of them on vinyl.
So it's Re-Animator for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Everson.
I won't echo everything you said
Good.
because I'm sorry, I don't think Poltergeist is a great film. Having seen it last night, the last 20 minutes to me were such an insult to intelligence that I absolutely was angry at the movie at the end, frankly.
No shit.
But that said, even if we don't go there, like the first part of the movie, bored me to an extent that I would not want to watch the movie again. And to me, like you just said, like the whole test of a film is how much it entertains you. It doesn't matter whether it's got $1 billion budget or $1 million budget.
Totally agree with
Did
that,
it
too.
entertain you enough that you would want to revisit it time and time again? And yeah, for me, Re-Animator is it, for sure.
Now, do you think
It's not a brilliant film, but it's a fun film
It is very
that
fun.
I will revisit.
So is that possibly because that Poltergeist was a little bit more tame to you? Because a lot of your books make Re-Animator look like Gremlins?
I don't even think that, because I really liked sort of the whole girl sucked in by the television motif of Poltergeist. I do like that aspect of it. I love the fact that they go through the floor to the living room to go through the alternate, that's great.
With the ball.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other things in the film
goo.
that just broke my loving the movie.
Okay.
They kicked me out of it.
Totally viable. Well, thanks for watching, everybody.
Apparently, I don't mean shit.
We don't need Logan's review at all.
I want Logan's
this one?
review because I feel like everything I just said he's going to refute.
Well, okay. I can tell you guys you're all wrong.
Right. Well, I figured.
In a sense, because
Now you know how the Maker's Mark guy feels.
Yeah, no kidding. There you go.
Bingo.
There you go. We had 3 on 1, and
There you
now we
go.
got 3 on 1 again.
There you go.
No, the Poltergeist for me is my choice. Obviously, it is a film that it is masterful on all facets, and I think it actually that's if horror became a genre that was the blockbuster thing. I think that would have been the template for movies beyond that. The problem has been that horror has always been looked at as this, secondary thing. So I think that's why a lot of people that like the things like Re-Animator, because it's kind of the indie thing. Like, hey, there's this band that's great. Nobody really knows about it, and if you saw it first and you thought it was kind of fun, that brings you in there. But then if that thing gets bigger and it blows up, and you still see people at conventions and things like that are wearing Re-Animator stuff, that are maybe
I was
walking
about
around
to
with the head
say,
stuff.
in conventions,
How do you see anybody walking around like with Poltergeist?
no, but that's the point. So if you're saying that we like this movie because it's the indie band,
Yeah.
it is way more
Yeah.
popular than
Sure.
Poltergeist in our circles.
No, but that just shows, though, that it's like a campy thing that people like. I think it's because there's also the too seriousness of Poltergeist, I think, which turns a lot of people off. It was too much of a serious movie. That's where
They had it.
the
It
strings
had its
and
comic
things.
relief.
It
It had its,
did, but it wasn't as much as, if you could, I'm sure somebody's probably done it on YouTube, but turn it into a comedy. Like the trailer into a comedy or
Sure,
something.
sure,
I've
sure.
seen that stuff for Dumb and Dumber as a scary film or something like that. But it's just one of those movies that I will turn it on. It can be background noise for me, and it can be something that when I watched it actually 2 times. I watched it normal speed, and then I watched it kind of at faster speed just to kind of keep it going along faster, because it is a longer movie. I do agree. I think it should have probably been about 15 minutes short. It should have been 15 minutes shorter, but I don't agree that Zelda was one of the most annoying characters. I think she was the glue that kind of brought everything back together, because
Because it all fell apart.
well,
You dug yourself that hole.
Oh, damn.
You dug yourself that hole.
Anywho, she was a character, though, that I think a lot of people were happy with, because she had that voice where yes, it's annoying and it's kind of loud and obnoxious, but it cut through all of that loud wind blowing and things. For me, that movie is still, to this day, it doesn't scare me as much as it used to, obviously, but it's still one of those movies that, I showed it to my kids, they liked it, and I still feel like that's something that should have moved on, but I guess Re-Animator, because you guys are cool and hip, you need to get to watch that.
I kind of thought that was
gets to move on.
obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but I don't. That's the plus side of this and the downside. The plus side is that this is tough. I like Re-Animator. It's one of those films where I would watch it, on a regular basis too if I needed to. I can't watch it in front of my kids that often, but it's one of those things where it's a good film. It had much lower budget. I just always wonder what would happen with stuff like that, with if they got that opportunity.
I agree, because you
So-
think about that kind of stuff. But I agree with John in this case. Is if they had more money, it would not have been the gritty, down and dirty. Hey, look, we can get away with anything because nobody's watching us.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Get
But
it
if they
out
had
there.
money, then they
Yeah.
was all the
It's better to what is it? Ask for
forgiveness than look for
ask for permission. Yeah. So,
And this would never have made it
beg forgiveness. Ask for
as far as it did if it had more budget.
No.
All right.
No,
So
but I kind of think your bracket system here, though, hurt Poltergeist.
it did,
Because
it did.
I would put Poltergeist up. I haven't studied the bracket, but I'd put that up against something else. I'd put Re-Animator against something else.
That's more indie. But see,
No, that's more like, because they're subgenres, right? Like putting
Well,
a
sure.
comedy subgenre horror movie up against a serious
yeah.
children's
I get what
ghost
you're saying,
story
but
is
here's
not
what it-
fair in a sense, because they're just very different things.
But here's what it comes down to.
It's
There's
like
only
whiskey
going to be
and
one
bourbon.
winning.
Right.
There's only going to be one winner.
Yeah.
So
it eventually will
almost
happen.
doesn't matter who it's up against now, because eventually it'll get weeded out or it'll survive.
It is like kind of, the Final Four, basketball and all that kind of crappy stuff. Where it's like, yes, every now and then you'll get like 2 teams that should have been the final.
Right.
All of a sudden that's the first round.
Right.
And so everyone's all disappointed because they didn't get like those 2 teams. But at the end of the day,
Or the same thing, to go along those same lines. You might have something you think is going to be a juggernaut and go all the way through, and it gets
Correct.
knocked
And
out.
it loses
Right.
in the first
This
round or
is-
two.
Yeah, this is one of those times.
Like Makers.
But I fought for all the Poltergeist fans out there. I fought.
Yeah.
I tried.
But did you, though?
I know.
But did you?
Can I? 3-on-1.
You fought the ghostly fight.
All right.
Anyway,
So do we want to bring up the bracket
Yeah,
and
let's
move it
bracket
on
it out.
over, and
Let's
then
bracket it out. Go ahead. So we're way
So while
down here in
he's,
the corner.
should we make the yodeling sound like on the Prices Right?
Yeah,
as
right.
he's moving.
So
Yeah, you know.
Hey,
so,
what?
Okay, Warwick doesn't know about the Price is Right yodeler. I don't even know what the name of the game was.
it was the Everest,
something
not
hike.
Everest.
With like the guys climbing
Yeah,
up
the climbing,
side.
the rock
and then
climbing.
he
I don't
yodels
remember.
as he-
Yo, as he's climbing up, and if
And
he goes too
if
far,
you guess too
falls
far,
off
he
again.
falls over. Yeah.
Is that because of the glasses?
Yeah, Everest. Yes. Everest.
All right, so we
anyway.
got that. Did you see it, everybody? Are you looking good? Okay,
You can't
can
because
take
it's
that
on a
off
white
now.
background and Re-Animator
You can barely
is-
In a
see
very
it.
light
Yeah.
green font. Yeah.
So wait, let's go back to that real quick. What's the next up? We've got
Next up is going to be.
So we're jumping across to The Thing and Pumpkinhead.
Yes, that will be an interesting.
That's
one.
it.
Another pairing that I think is ill-fated
Again,
it is.
for the
but-
same reasons.
But think about it though. This is why they're up against it, because a lot of people are looking at this and going, "Oh, The Thing is going to win," and there's other people looking at it going like, "Pumpkinhead's an easy."
Oh yeah.
It's not that cut and dry
No,
for any of these.
Yeah, when we did the Hitcher and Aliens.
Oh yes,
That was a difficult one. Like
The
I
Hitcher
I'm-
almost won.
I'm
Watch that
on,
episode.
on record as I'm a massive Aliens fan. Love Aliens, but during like the late '80s and in the '90s, I must have watched The Hitcher a bazillion times, primarily because of Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Might have been Bazillion 7. Something like
And when I rewatched it, and I haven't seen it for like probably 15 years, maybe 20 years, I'm like, oh my god, I love this movie.
It's
The Hitcher is
a
such
really
a good movie.
well-made movie.
It really is.
It didn't get the love it deserved back
No.
then, and honestly, it was really close to getting Hitcher on that one.
Anyway,
All right.
All right,
So I
well,
think we
thanks for
can,
coming, everybody. Yeah, we
I think-
got this. Beer Barrel Bourbon shockingly moves on. And I will say shockingly because honestly, I thought the age difference and the fact that that's more of a beer gimmicky
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of bourbon.
I did finish
Holy
both.
shit. I
Yeah,
did
so
too.
did I.
Which
too.
that's a testament
That's
to both
true,
of them.
and you're not really a
I am not a Maker's Mark
guy.
fan, and I just kept going.
There you go.
So,
I think because you're getting a
could be-
better palate.
There's that.
I think you're getting more
Or I would just
sophisticated
want to get
palate.
drunk. There's
Wow, well, there's always that too.
Yes.
Thank goodness for that.
anyway.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks to our guest, John. Oh, we should give some little time in the middle of this episode and whatever episode you'd like to stick around for.
I give you
But
30 seconds to list off all your books.
there you go. There you go.
in
alphabetical
date order.
Yeah.
Is there
Date
anything
order?
you'd like to plug? Any events? Any books? Any writings?
Oh, any signings
Any
coming up?
conventions? Yes.
Yeah, if you go to my website, you can find out the signings. My appearances tab is always
And
up
what's
to
your
date.
website?
JohnEverson.com.
And how do you spell that?
JohnEverson.com.
There you go.
Yeah, nothing really to plug other than I want this group to do a Giallo bracket because I want to come
we
back and
should.
do that because one of my last novels was a Giallo homage called 5 Deaths for 7
Yep.
Songbirds. And I met one of the directors of one of my favorite movies shortly after that book was released, and that was amazing, and I'd love to talk about that there, but not here because this is not where that is.
We have noticed your shirt, by the way.
And yeah, there's there might be an Argento, Lucio Fulci, Sergio
We did do a
Martino
big-
kind
Great
of thing.
soundtrack as well.
We did do a big Argento discussion
Yes.
as far as movies to come into this because on the big list, I mean, we're talking a lot of movies here, but on the big list, I think there was at least one.
Yeah, Tenebrae was on there.
Tenebrae was on there, but so was
Oh, and
Deep Red.
No, Deep Red wasn't on there. But you know what? Did we? Because we had when was the remake done?
no.
Suspiria?
Yeah,
Suspiria
Suspiria.
remake, but that was 90s or something, right? Or was it millennium?
recently?
Suspiria?
Remake.
No,
The remake was just
2000s,
like, yeah,
2000,
like
10 years
2010
ago?
or something.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that long
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God! But Suspiria was on our original list. But when Suspiria? 79. So that was,
79.
that was
77.
the
That was in the
previous bracket
70s,
then.
yeah.
So that was previous bracket.
Yeah, and we were only doing 8 movies then.
Right.
So
And it won, right?
It got
it didn't.
cut.
Alien one.
Yeah, Alien.
Huh,
won.
go figure.
That's actually hard. Those are my 2 favorite horror movies, literally of all time.
see?
Alien, Suspiria.
And Suspiria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's up there. It's like that's
Yeah.
that's for me.
It was a little
We're
bit
not
difficult.
talking about your other reasons,
No.
right? Okay. All right.
Although
Thanks
if-
for coming
if
in,
we got-
everybody.
Hello.
We appreciate
And
you
goodbye.
visiting. Please comment, like, subscribe.
There's going to be
Yep.
and then we're
social
going to
media.
put
Social media
like-
stuff. And
over actually
right over
John and
It will
John's
be
face.
John.
and
It will
Look.
be over John's face. Nobody will see it right now if you want
Yeah,
to.
he's
flip off
sitting in
the
my
audio.
usual spot, so he gets it this time.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Stick around for brackets week 5 next.
coming up next.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take us out.